Timothy Cheneyfield is accused of having sex with a 14-year-old boy he met through a dating app and continued chatting with via Instagram. Cheneyfield is a pastor at St. James United American Free Will Baptist Church in Winter Haven, along with being a chaplain for Compassionate Care Hospice of Lakeland. Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd says Cheneyfield also had access to children for close to 10 years at Crystal Lake Middle School.
We talked to the members, or some of the members of St. James. They were shocked.
Officials say the investigation began on July 28th after the Sheriff's Office Special Victims Unit received a cyber tip from the National Center for Missing and Endangered Children about Cheneyfield through those Instagram messages. Detectives say the pastor told the boy he wanted to continue having sex with him, but needed to fly to Baltimore for work. They learned Cheneyfield was flying out to preside over a funeral. A warrant was obtained for Cheneyfield, and deputies arrested him on July 29th at Orlando Airport.
We met him when he got off of the plane with OPD. The Orlando Police Department was perfect. They were spot on. They were game on.
A separate investigation involving a 26-year-old man revealed that Cheneyfield is HIV positive, information he didn't disclose to the 14-year-old boy, according to the Sheriff's Office.
We pray that our work was fast enough, because we got our victim, the 14-year-old, the HIV cocktail, that we stopped this child from being infected.
County jail.
Being a preacher at this church, he's also a chaplain for Compassionate Care Hospice. And if that's not enough, between 2012 and about 2024, he worked for the school system in Polk County. Between 2012 and 2016, he was both a para and a substitute teacher. Then he went into IT, and he worked there until about 2024, and about that time is when he became the lead pastor for St. James. So why do I tell you all of that? Well, because when he was at the schools, he was at Crystal Lake Middle School. We know that he stalks children. How we got into this investigation was simply this. We received a cyber tip from Instagram that there was illicit, inappropriate activity between an adult and a child. It first went to the Auburndale Police Department. They determined this was in the unincorporated area and immediately called us, and immediately we started our investigation. And what we found is that Timothy Cheneyfield went online with a dating app in search of children, and that's what he found, was a 14-year-old child. Did you hear what I said? A little boy. Then they moved from there over to the Instagram app, where they chatted more often. And then Timothy Cheneyfield picked him up in front of his neighborhood on 3 different occasions. And on those 3 different occasions, he wasn't preaching, but he was messing around. On 3 different occasions, he drove to the 14-year-old child's neighborhood, where the 14-year-old child met him at the entrance to the neighborhood. Timothy took the 14-year-old to his home, and when he took him to his home, he engaged the child in sex. So when the investigation came to us, we started intensely looking for Timothy, and we found out during this period of time that he was in Baltimore performing, apparently, a funeral for someone through his Compassionate Care Hospice work. He confessed. He confessed that he picked up this 14-year-old child on at least 3 different occasions, took him to Timothy's home in Eagle Lake, where he engaged this child in sex. But that wasn't it. That wasn't all. Timothy is HIV positive. He failed to tell this 14-year-old child that I'm HIV positive, and he had unprotected sex with a child and exposed our 14-year-old victim to HIV. We pray that our work was fast enough, because we got our victim, the 14-year-old, the HIV cocktail, that we stopped this child from being infected. But we have a 26-year-old who said that he engaged Timothy Cheneyfield in sex, and now he is HIV positive. Timothy Cheney is an SS. That's not super sport. That's super spreader. And we fear that there's other victims out there, because he was very aggressive and very adamant about having sex with apparently adults or children. We talked to the members, or some of the members of St. James. They were shocked. They had absolutely no idea their pastor was like that. We also found that he has been an ordained minister since about 2020, when New Mount Zion Church in Haines City ordained him, and then later St. James in Winter Haven selected him to be the pastor. Well, today he's locked up in jail. He's charged with 3 counts of lewd battery against a child. He's charged with infecting, or potentially infecting, or having sex with, unprotected sex with a child. There's a HIV statute that if you don't disclose you're HIV positive with your partner, that's another criminal charge. He's charged with traveling to meet a minor. He's charged with computer-related charges. He's charged with possession of marijuana. This is a dope-smoking preacher right here in front of you. He's a dope-smoking pedophile preacher right before you. And now he's locked up in the county jail where he should be. He was well respected in the community. People trusted him. They believed in him. And now, well, our plea is, if you've engaged this guy in sex, let us tell you, because he didn't. He's HIV positive. And you need to call us. But the first thing you need to do is run to an emergency room and get the HIV cocktail and pray that you're not HIV positive, because after all, he is an SS, a super spreader, and he doesn't mind that. I want that to resonate with you for a minute. He groomed a child online, drove to the child's neighborhood, picked him up, took him to his home, had sex with him, and if that's not bad enough, never disclosed to the child that he's HIV positive, so I'm going to have unprotected sex with this child and infect him as well. Jesus don't like that. And he'll have to answer for that one day to a court much higher than ours. That he hid behind the cloak. That he used the power and the persuasion of a well-recognized minister in order to groom children, and apparently at least one adult. I know there's more out there, more victims we need to hear from, in order to have sex. And all the while hid from them that he himself was HIV positive. He's an evil man. An evil man. And he took advantage of the people at the church, and he took advantage of children, and he was around children up to 10 years at Crystal Lake Middle School in different jobs before he left there. So I want to hearken back to anybody that might have been in a relationship with him as a result of that. we need to talk to you, because we don't want this evil man ever to be outside of prison again. Because if he is, I can assure you that pedophiles don't change their personality or their wants or their needs. So when you want to see a classic example of someone who was well respected in the community, who was well respected at their church, who was well respected by those on their deathbed, and he ruined lives the whole time. Are there any questions?
Sir, with him having access to so many children over the course of so many years, I mean, one of your biggest fears is that there are other children out there.
I would be shocked if there weren't other children victims out there. I would be shocked if there weren't other victims out there. He was very active. He was very engaged. In fact, we so worried about this, we actually tried to catch him while he was in Baltimore, because we didn't even want him wandering the streets of Baltimore. What all is he up to there? Of course, when we were able to find that he should have been in the airport, the Baltimore Police Department gave us zero assistance. The Bartow Airport Authority gave us zero assistance, but I don't guess we should expect any more from that. The place is a train wreck anyway.
I saw that he was arrested by OPD. I assume he was arrested at NCO.
We met him when he got off of the plane with OPD. The Orlando Police Department was perfect. They were spot on. They were game on. They were as outraged with him, and they did a remarkable job. The Orlando Police Department was fantastic. Our detectives in Orlando Police met him. He first went to the Orange County Jail, and then we transferred him to the Polk County Jail. And he confessed to us. Are there any other questions?
Sure, you seem to have any remorse about?
No remorse. No remorse. This is what he does. This is what he does. He sexually batters children, at least a child that we know of, and we suspect more, and we know an adult, and the adult says, I'm now HIV positive.
Sure, you mentioned that Instagram reached out to Auburndale Police Department. Was that Instagram corporate, or is that unusual for the app to get?
There's new law that requires them to report such activity. So I applaud Instagram. They did what was right. And what Instagram did by reporting this to the police immediately was it allowed us to do a complete and thorough investigation. Instagram was a principal in stopping a child pedophile from sexually battering children while being HIV positive.
Are you hoping that will be a deterrent to others in the future?
If all other social media online did exactly what Instagram did, we could stop this. We could stop this, but heretofore, as we've complained for years and for decades, social media has protected pedophiles and protected criminals and protected rapists and murderers and protected child pornographers. That's what they've done. And they should all be ashamed of themselves. There's one thing we can all coalesce around. I don't care what your political decisions are in life. Child pedophiles are bad business. And if everyone would do like Instagram did, we could protect the world's children from this kind of evil person. Instagram should be applauded. OPD, Orlando Police Department, was fantastic. My detectives are the best. You put all of your normal work aside and you focus on someone like this as quick as possible.
Sheriff, any idea of, how long he might have known about this diagnosis, just kind of timeline here?
Have no idea. Have no idea. And the 26-year-old didn't know until we brought it to his attention. And the 14-year-old had no clue that he was having unprotected sex with an adult that was HIV positive. So he goes, well, I'm taking my HIV medicine. Well, duh. Did you tell the 14-year-old? No, I think I mentioned it on social media. Well, we see zero evidence of that. The 14-year-old victim goes, he didn't tell me that. He's nasty. This guy's nasty. He's a menace to society, and he's proven that. And he took advantage of the wonderful people that go to this church. He took advantage of them. He scammed them. They were donating the widow's mite for this preacher to allegedly do a wonderful, wonderful piece of God's work in our community. And what was he doing? Having sex with kids. A kid.
Sure. Is there, I know it sounds like it's pretty wide ranging, but any communities in Polk County in particular that should pay close attention?
Well, first and foremost, we know he worked 10 years at Crystal Lake Middle School. So we don't know what all the relationships were there. We know he's from Eagle Lake, which is in the Winter Haven area. We know his church was in Winter Haven. We know he was ordained in Haines City. I would say that the people know who know whether or not they've engaged this guy in sex. This guy's dangerous. We believe he's a super spreader. We don't think two people, he woke up at 42 years of age and did this for the first time. We don't believe that at all, and neither do you, and neither does anyone that's watching this live right now. Help us make sure that we get help for the potential victims that have been exposed to HIV. We want those victims to first go to the hospital and get treated. Call us. We'll meet you at the hospital. We'll start an investigation, and we'll keep stacking the charges. But go to the hospital. Call us. We'll meet you there. We'll get you the care that you need, and we'll make sure that we give him the attention he deserves with the criminal justice system. Anything else?
Sheriff, on a different topic, the Florida Sheriff's Association yesterday expressed concerns about Amendment 3. Any thoughts?
Sure. The Florida Sheriff's Association, and I am obviously a member and past president of the Florida Sheriff's Association, strongest Sheriff's Association in the nation, came out with great concern for Amendment 3 in its current form. Make no mistake about it, the Florida Sheriffs believe that we can have meaningful tax savings for the people of the state of Florida. But this instrument in November is not the instrument to do that. When the House and the Senate passed Amendment 3 to go onto the ballot, they had never seen a financial analysis of that amendment. Did you hear what I said? Let me say that clearly. The governor sent Amendment 3 over to the House. The House changed what Governor DeSantis wanted. It doesn't look anything like what Governor DeSantis sent over. The House passed it. The Senate passed it. And there was zero, let me make that clear, there was zero financial analysis. They have no idea what the devastation of Amendment 3 in its current form will be to cities and counties. When you get to some small counties, it's going to wipe them out. It's going to be 50% of their taxes. Here's what I suggest. I suggest from Grady Judd, not the Florida Sheriff's Association, you vote no on 3 in November, and then you tell your Florida legislature to address this appropriately in session, make it your top priority to give tax relief to the people of the state of Florida that's reasonable, that's responsible, that lowers their homestead taxes or eliminates them, and do that with a way to appropriately fund police, fire, EMS, road work, stormwater work. What's important to understand here is for decades and decades and decades, city governments and county governments has been built on ad valorem tax. But to come in and wipe it out, and it's not all wiped out, but the overwhelming majority of it's going to be wiped out. And what it says is you get 150,000, then 250,000, and then the legislature's directed to wipe out the rest of it later on with nothing to replace it. Give me a break. Give me a break. Why in the world the Florida legislature passed that without looking at a financial analysis to see what it would do, to see if it would devastate the communities, which most, it will. Absolute annihilation of some, staggering others, but there's a better way. So the Florida Sheriff's Association is much more conservative on what they said, other than, hey, they can't take a political position. What they can say is, you need to be educated. You need to know that the legislature did no financial analysis on this constitutional amendment that passed before they voted for it. You need to know it's going to affect response times. It does not protect law enforcement, fire, emergency services as earlier editions of it supposedly did. It doesn't provide for money to fix roads adequately, to clean stormwater adequately. It doesn't do any of that. It says what you can fund. It doesn't talk about libraries or parks. It's a train wreck. So tell your legislators to go back to work next session and give you meaningful, appropriate, well thought out, well managed, well researched tax relief. And there's tax relief that can occur and should occur.
Sheriff, in your talks with county leadership, have you been able to quantify what the direct impact to your office would be?
They're still analyzing it. The impact to our county is estimated at this point in their analysis at between $100 and $130 million of cut. That's staggering. Some of the small counties say it's up to 50%. That just, and reasonable people understand services cost money. And I can tell you this, I've done this my entire adult life. Not once have I been at the scene where trauma alerted people were being treated by EMS and fire. Not once have I been at an emergency where deputies were saving lives and pulling people out of the water or blocking off roads for a shooter in the area. Not once have I been at any emergency and had somebody stand up and complain about the cost. Never. Because you know what? When your life's on the line, the costs don't make any difference. And now you've got the legislature saying, oh, pass this and affect your lifestyle. Affect our ability to get the right tools and the right training and the right people rapidly to you when your life's on the line or your children's life's on the line. Nobody wants that. We all want reasonable tax relief, and that's possible. This is the most ludicrous piece of unresearched stuff I've seen. So say no, my opinion, say no to the constitutional amendment, and then you tell your legislators, get to work and give me the relief I deserve. But don't mess with the ability to fix roads, to clean stormwater, to provide the services that we expect, and certainly don't take away the ability to provide police, fire, EMS. That's not unreasonable. You can have both.
These men be sick. This man met up with a 14-year-old. A 14-year-old, and possibly has given the 14-year-old HIV. Like, honestly, he should get the penalty. Point blank period, he should get the penalty. It should be no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It should be no discussion about it. It should be straight yeeted. Honestly, like, I'm not even joking. And I don't care if people start saying, oh, no, well, no, he shouldn't face the... Why not? Why shouldn't he? Because honestly, if you're graping kids, right? A child can't consent. So give me one good reason that this man should be around on this earth, right? Right? And even the Bible says, Jesus' words specifically, if anyone causes these young ones to stumble on account of me, it is better for a millstone to be tied around his neck and for him to be thrown into the ocean. That's what Jesus said. So why shouldn't he pass away? Make it make sense.
Okay, so you guys heard the gist of this dumpster fire fuck. So this PDF fucker is 42-year-old Timothy Cheneyfield. Nasty man is a pastor at St. James United American Free Will Baptist Church in Florida. Okay? So this PDF file is just so damn nasty. So he went on an online dating app and met a 14-year-old boy. This is how nasty he is, y'all. He chatted with the boy online for a couple of days and then moved the chatting to Instagram. Okay, he moved it to Instagram. This nasty, oh my geez, this man, he has HIV, y'all. HIV. Did not tell the boy in the chats that he had HIV, but picked him up from his home, drove him to his home in East Lake, Florida, I think it is. Okay. On 3 multiple occasions, had unprotected smirkle with this 14-year-old boy, okay? And then on the 4th time, he was like, ring, ring, yeah, I want to have sex with you still, but I got to go to work in Baltimore because my hospice patient died, so I got to preside over the funeral. Okay, so somebody from Instagram or Instagram itself was like, hello, police. Yes, there is inappropriate contact with a 42-year-old nasty ass, disgusting ass pastor and a 14-year-old boy. So the police was like, hello, Timothy Cheney. You're coming with me. And we're going to go into this room from the airport. So on July 29th, he landed in Orlando after the funeral. And he confessed that he had sex with he had smirkles with the 40-year-old boy. So they took him to Polk County Jail. All right. So this nasty fucker, okay, So thankfully, before I keep going, the police was like, I hope we caught this in time. We gave this boy an HIV cocktail so the HIV will not spread. Okay? So he won't get infected. So this PDF file, okay, he worked in the Polk County school system from 2012 to 2024. Okay, as a substitute teacher. Okay, so he worked as a substitute teacher for 2 years at a school. He worked on IT at what's that said, Crystal Middle School. Okay, and then what else did he do? Okay, so that's basically it. Okay, and he worked in hospice care. Okay, so now a 26-year-old man came out and said he had smeckles with Timothy. Okay, and now the 26-year-old man is HIV positive. And they're like, is any other victims out there so we can charge this man? Please come forward because we think there's more victims. So this nasty, ugly, cunt mother, okay, is being charged with 3 counts of lewd battery of a minor, 3 counts of interfering with custody of a minor, unlawful use of a two-way communication device, 3 counts of traveling to meet a minor, 4 counts of HIV-infected person having sex without informing their partner, possession of cannabis, and 5 counts of possession of drug paraphernalia. That's what you get, bitch. And I hope they give you the max for doing this to a minor. And you should be ashamed. You're a pastor, a man of God, and you wasn't even preaching to the boy. You was preaching to his butthole. This is so unexcusable. I hope they throw you under the jail. When I mean under, into hell, okay? And from hell, under hell, into Hades. But hell, what do I know? I'm just a talking head.
So he's a pastor and he worked as a hospice chaplain, but he also used dating apps and Instagram to link up with a 14-year-old boy. And it gets so much deeper. This is 42-year-old Timothy Cheneyfield from Florida. He used Instagram to link up with a 14-year-old boy. He linked up with the 14-year-old boy 3 times, picked him up and took the boy back to his home for encounters. And you know what I mean by encounters. It gets even worse. So he has HIV. And he didn't tell the little boy that he had HIV. But the 14-year-old was given a medication that's used after a possible HIV exposure to help reduce the risk of infection. But that's still not it. A 26-year-old man came forward. He has HIV. Said that he had previously had encounters with the pastor and the pastor didn't disclose that he had HIV. Now, as you can see, he's facing charges, multiple charges, involving the 14-year-old boy and additional charges for not disclosing that he has HIV before having these encounters. Also, when they arrested the man, when they went to arrest the man, he was doing like some of his pastoral work. The man had cannabis in his possession. So I came across the story because it said dope smoking pastor. Police believe there could be more victims, and just to be clear, these are allegations. I get, because you know the case is still working its way through the court system or whatever. But as you can see, Timothy Cheneyfield was arrested, and that's his jail mugshot. And I'm almost sure there's way more victims. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments.
See, this some shit right here, man. Tired of you over freaky grown ass niggas who can't find nobody your own age. So you have this 42-year-old pastor out in Florida named Timothy Cheneyfield, who facing multiple charges after authorities say that he allegedly lured the 14-year-old boy into his crib more than one time, multiple times, after meeting him on a dating app. And like I said, this been going on multiple times. This happened 3 times that the 14-year-old had been to his crib. They started from a dating app, and then they had moved their messages to Instagram before he started picking them up. Not only that, y'all, what made it so fucked up, the sheriff, Gladys Judd, had discovered and allegedly that this man right here, Channing Field, was HIV positive. And of course, he did not disclose his status with the team before doing these inappropriate things. He later on did confess to the authorities and say that it was unprotected, and the little boy had caught it, y'all. He was positive for HIV. Mind you, it was another 26-year-old man who said that he had the same encounters with Channing Field, and he was tested positive as well. And they said that Channing Field had worked for Polk County Public Schools, dealing with the kids from 2012 to 2024. So I'm sure there's way more victims that was on his list. This nigga's a petty. Now, I'm not about to read out all his charges because, y'all, it's a list. But they've been blocking my videos lately every time I've been talking on this. And I don't know what it is, so I gotta be between the lines. You hear me? But my thing is, though, parents, they gotta start locking up these parents. I don't give a fuck. Y'all letting y'all kids do these phones, and then they on, what, 14-year-olds on a dating app? The fuck? At some point, these parents gotta take accountability or something. Now, don't get me wrong, that's still not to take away from these sick motherfuckers. And what's so fucked up is that y'all parents be wanna be best friends with these teenagers. But these teenagers begin befriended by these petties. I mean, this 14-year-old went to his house 3 times? Come on, man. Shit gotta get better. Lock him up. And y'all know what to do with him, man. Y'all know what to do.
Y'all, let's talk about Timothy Chaney. Timothy Chaney is a pastor out of Florida who decided to go on a dating website and find not just anybody, but a 14-year-old little boy to have you-know-what with. Timothy Chaney managed to meet this 14-year-old boy on a few occasions and have unprotected you-know-what with him. But the thing about it is, the pastor, Timothy Chaney, also is HIV positive. Yes, he is. And then in the midst of all this, he's locked up because he's a pedophile. He's a pedophile, and he got caught up with that 14-year-old boy. Then a 26-year-old young man came forward and said that he had been having activity with the pastor also, and he has been found HIV positive because of this. Now, Timothy Chaney is a SS. I don't know what this was. It's called a super spreader. This is somebody that knows they has the HIV virus and spreads it to everybody. But the fact that he would choose a 14-year-old little boy, not even tell this little young man what he had or anything, and chose to sleep with him is disgusting, degrading, and he's a pastor, y'all. The pastor not only is a super spreader, the SS, he also loves to, have fun and good times with different substances he shouldn't be dealing with. So you got a pastor who likes to get off of substances, and also likes to sleep with anybody he can, little boys, men, anybody unprotected, and try to give them the HIV virus. Thank God this preacher is in jail, but I tripped out because I said this is a pastor. A pastor is in jail because he chose to go on a dating site and find a 14-year-old little boy to have unprotected you-know-what with. And this little boy possibly might have the HIV virus also, but I know for a fact the 26-year-old man came forward and said that he has it. Prayers going up for that 26-year-old young man, that church in Florida, and that little boy, pastor. The pastor of a church did all this. If you can't trust your pastor, who can you trust?